I had to reset my phone, and I was in kind of a semi-low signal area. So anyway, good evening. Um, I'm having a better week than I thought that I'd have. Um, Seeing how I just picked up the rest of the week of work, and I guess next week as well. This gig was going to be a day, maybe two, was how it started, and now all of a sudden the guy's just like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna need you Thursday and Friday, and probably next week." It's like, "Oh, well, that's great." It's a little psycho because it's a 6 a.m. start, so I'm waking up at 4, and that's right because it's almost 8:30 now. Just like I'm not getting 8 hours of sleep. I I seem to torture myself with under 7 hours of sleep. Anyway, but I'm fine because I typically take pretty goddamn good care of myself. And so I was talking about this maybe this morning on X, Zerolath369 on X, if you want to follow me there. Many of you already know about the Act of 1871. The question is this incident with the federalization of law enforcement in Washington, D.C., does this mean that the Act of 1871 has changed in some sort of way? Is it evidence that it's perhaps been revoked? Is it evidence? And if the Act of 1871 seems to be revoked, does that mean that the United States of America incorporated capital letters in the legal fiction as the corporate entity straw man for the government? Has that collapsed? Has the manner in which things have changed over the many years evidence of this collapse? Is part and parcel of this collapse it's a question of stratagem changes, right? Listen, the controllers of the world are really fucking good at what they do, and they're really fucking good at making sure that they've done something to every fucking body just based on what they projected onto all of your fucking parents as to what was normal under the fucking delusions of a assumed trustable kind of thing happening, right? The way that everybody kind of got completely blind to all the gaslighting, right? The gaslighting's been here forever. We've just been absolutely blind to it. Often because of our own personal biases, we were semi-aware that they were lying to us because you typically consider, as a liberal, Democrats more honest, and as a conservative, Republicans more honest. This is by design, right? But then again, it's also just a design of the interest of competing ideas in macrocosm of the social order. So long story short is Generation X was named Generation X because they were the X factor in the social consciousness equation. People were looking at the early signs in the late 60s, the early childhood development in the late 60s, these children of the baby boomers that were coming in under new kinds of systems that they didn't, right? A lot of the younger Gen Xers like me grew up under a Department of Education based education system. And being a kid who was mentally so troublesome, emotionally so troublesome, so who knows what it is. As you know, like, I think I probably just had, like, I think my internal sense of identity was so fucking enormous that it was a lot for me to fucking feel about myself, being a young child who doesn't know how to use the greatest of words or the greatest of actions to deal with the thoughts and emotions arising from things you don't understand or were just introduced to now. So Generation X, almost completely by and large, was checked out of fucking, you know, like there's lots of Generation Xers that are doing things and whatnot, but Gen X was like hyper, like that was a certain level of hyper independence, right? It's unfortunate the amount of Gen Xers I know that, you know, fell for the pandemic, but then again, you know, just because you were born in Gen X doesn't mean that you were culturally Gen X, right? Because Gen X was so everywhere. You had normies of that generation, which are about the only ones you could count on for anything, and you know, and they just, everybody was just fucking another level of struggling, another level of dealing with really narcissistic or self-centered or whatever family members or whatnot. And the many years that it turns into your fault, which, you know, as in, like, they telling you things are, and they're so ill-equipped and don't, like, give it, like, you know, like, my parents are extraordinarily status quo. If the winds of change, you know, say certain things, they go with it, right? And they would want to take me along with them on that respect. Only one time, though, when I lost a particular job opportunity in the middle of the fucking height of vaccine madness, did they ever fucking bring it up, right? Otherwise, nothing was ever brought up. Nobody fucking masked up around each other in the house and everything else. There was common courtesy and common common sense medically to be like, okay, wear a mask, we're in a hospital, wear a mask, you're coughing, or whatever, But, just hanging out in the house, I'm just like, whatever, because we were always like that in my house. And everybody knew in this house that, like, the whole family gets the fucking flu. I don't get the flu. Right? That's just always been me. I'm the one guy in the house that doesn't get fucking sick. And I have some interesting theories as to why that is. Because I'm not just talking about since I started making good choices. I'm talking about, like, fat, low-conscious, junk food Steve, right back in the fucking day. So my point is that, like, then everything flips over. Like, the boomers basically had to stay, like, Gen X was supposed to be, like, in charge of most of life as the boomers were going into retirement. Right? But Gen X, they don't got enough Gen X people that can fucking fulfill their plan. So they had to skip a generation. They had to force all these old people to keep going because they had too many people that it's not that they woke up, but that they were somewhere between awake and asleep where they just were not fucking interested in shenanigans anymore. They weren't interested in the world anymore because of how fucking little the world was there for them, right? So these millennials coming into a newer, cleaner system from the many efforts made to heal the bullshit of the boomers projected unconscious onto our fucking fractured psyche from everything that all of this shit was. So the millennials are, largely because of where that population was at for its time of rising to this point in 2016, were hardcore socialists in a normal sense, just based on looking at the rational logic of all sorts of promoted things within the Democratic Party's social issues system. And so then you got Gen Z, and Gen Z, of course, are just kids. And Gen Z is fucking jaded by the shallow, soft totalitarianism of the millennials, and Gen Z and Gen X could get together and rule the world, I think. Right? Pick up a handful of the millennials that get it and have a couple of elder boomers, and then you'll be all right. We're kind of working on making that happen right now, I think. Kind of feels that way. I don't know. Anyway, Nitwit's here. What's up? And Oreo. Hi. And Kelly. What's up? They all say driving continues and that's thousands of years. Yeehaw. The psychic driving. Is that what I'm doing, though? Perhaps I'm driving psychically. Get it? Ha! All right. Anyway, you guys have a good night. I have to wrap things up and get to bed as soon as possible. All right. Hey, what's up, Peaceful? Catch you guys later. Don't forget to like and all that fun stuff.